언제, 어디에서
할까요?
할까요?
Hello and welcome to this week's video. If you're new here, thanks for clicking. My name is Camille. My name's Camille. I'm a foreigner, immigrant, expat living in Seoul, South Korea, and I like to talk about it on the internet. Sometimes I talk about dating, sometimes I talk about work, sometimes I talk about things like acquiring Korean language, which is what I'm going to chat about today. If you're interested in any of that, be sure to hit subscribe and let's get to the video. God, I will never get used to doing an opening spiel. It's so awkward. Anyways, yes, today I'm chatting to you about basically how I've fast-tracked my Korean learning in the last 2 months. I can tell you exactly how I did it, show you the books that I used, talk about the program, and you can even look at my really messy notes. I honestly considered, I was like, this is going on YouTube. Should I make them legible? It's like, should I, rewrite my notes that they're pretty and use cute highlighters? And no, I'm gonna show you my honest to God, genuine notes, talk about my books, talk about my classes, talk about why I'm obsessed with the KIIP program. Yeah, that's basically the table of contents for this video. If you follow me on TikTok and Instagram, then you might notice that I actually sometimes write in Korean on my social media now, which I never used to do in the past. Or if you watched my latest vlog, which I'll link for you, I never know where it goes. But yeah, I'll link it for you. I had a conversation with my nail tech. Did it go well? Not really, but did Korean words come out of my mouth? Yes, and I'm sorry, that's a win for me. And basically what changed is that I started taking classes. With my self-study, I was never consistent. I would get so hyped to self-study and do it intensely for 2 weeks and then just totally fall off the map and stop doing it. And then every time I restarted, I felt like I had to go back to the beginning of my books. So I basically studied the basics 27 times over and never really acquired anything new because I was only accountable to myself. I want to have the option to be here more permanently if I decide that that's something that I want to do. And a huge thing for me in terms of my daily life, also because I'm a Capricorn, is that I need to be independent. I'm hyper independent. And so not being able to do a lot of things here by myself was really, really frustrating. And the only thing that was stopping me from not being able to do things for myself was my inability to speak Korean. So I basically looked at myself in the mirror 3-ish months ago and was like, get your shit together. So what I did was I signed up for the KIIP program. And I could have gone to paid classes, which I think would have done the same thing, but KIIP is free. So we love KIIP. Let me tell you about KIIP. I can never remember if immigration or integration comes first. Oh, there we go. So the KIIP program, or KIIP program, stands for the Korean Immigration and Integration Program. And basically what it is a 6-level program that helps you learn Korean and learn about Korean culture at the same time, completely free, giving you points towards PR, permanent residency. Like I said, KIIP is a 6-tiered program. Starting at level 0, you learn Hangul, and then you go up through all the levels, and then the last 2 levels, level 5 is split into 2 different sections. You learn more specifically about culture. And like I said, basically you accumulate a certain number of points for each level that you finish, and then those points get added to a point total that you can use to get a permanent residency visa. So lots of Korean permanent residency visas F2 and F5, I think those are the right numbers, are based on points. So you get a certain number of points for how old you are, a certain number of points for your level of education, for your income, and for things like your Korean language ability. So when you do the KIIP program, automatically if you finish the KIIP program, you get an extra 10 points, but you also get points based on the level of your Korean. So lots of people join the KIIP program if they want to acquire PR. For myself, like I said, I'm not 100% sold on living here permanently. I think Paris in my 30s sounds like a like a good time. But in case I did, it's nice to know that I'll have these points, but moreover than that, I was looking for a structured lesson plan with a teacher that gave me opportunities to speak, and like I'd have to go on like a schedule. Like there's no more blowing it off just because I could, because I'd be sitting in my own apartment with my own book, like only holding myself accountable. Now I have my teacher and 11 other students that expect to see me there every day. I mean, do they really care if I don't show up? Probably not, but it's definitely motivating. So that has been a huge change for me going to the KIIP program. I started in level 0 because you can test into a higher level. There's like a standardized test that they do that you pay $30 for, or you can submit a TOPIK score and they'll assign you a level. But I have not written my TOPIK, and also in the standard, like the test that you do, the entry exam, there's a speaking component, and if you fail speaking, then you automatically go in 0, and I knew I was gonna fail speaking. So I went in a level 0 where basically it was just a week every single night for 4 hours, Monday to Friday, to essentially 4 hours, 3 hours maybe? That was 3 hours for 5 days? Yeah, it's 15 hours, where basically they teach you Hangul. And then after that, you automatically progress to level 1, which is the level that I'm in now. And basically, the goal of level 1 is to teach you the basics. The level of KIIP kind of matches the level of TOPIK. So essentially, after I finish level 1 and level 2, I should be able to rate my TOPIK 1 and get assigned a level 2 TOPIK. But basically, I am just learning like pretty standard Korean to use in daily life, like how to ask someone to hang out, how to order at a restaurant, how to speak formally to elders, like really basic stuff, how to say but, how to say to and from. That's kind of what I'm learning right now, which most of I already knew from my self-study. The problem was I was not confident using it in conversation, or I couldn't come up with it quickly enough. But now I've gotten much faster at sort of building sentences in my head, understanding what's being said to me. I've been able to share my opinion more accurately, as opposed to just like having a more limited vocabulary, but I'm definitely still not great, just for the record. Basically, these are the 2 books that you have for level 0, level 1. These are the books you have for level 1. There's a textbook, and then there's also a workbook. You'll need both to do the class. But basically how it works, let me show you a chapter. Okay, here we were learning like a variety of verbs and present tense. Chapter 3. The first thing we do is we always learn vocabulary. So we just learned a bunch of verbs in this chapter. And then after that, you learn a grammar point. And sometimes there's only one grammar point. Like at the beginning of the book, it was only really one grammar point. Oh no, we had 2 grammar points in this one too. We learned the verb tense on this page. Yeah, basically the teacher will like read these through and then kind of share these examples with you. You do them all as a class. And then we learned a second grammar point as well, which is object marking particles in this particular scenario. And again, she'll like walk you through how everything works. She's got her own little slideshow and she goes through and she speaks it to you. And then again, you try to build some sentences as a class. What I really like about my teacher is she will call us out. Like, you know, when you're in school and you had that one teacher, even if your hand wasn't up, she'd be like, okay, answer. That's what my teacher does, which at first I hated, but now I know what happens, and so I have to be prepared for absolutely every single question, which always has me thinking and going and acquiring language, getting better. And then at the end of the chapter, there's this little dialogue. So, oh, someone flushed a toilet upstairs. There's this little dialogue, which basically what my teacher does, which also horrified me at the beginning, is she puts us into breakout rooms and then we practice this dialogue with another partner that's in our class. So that's really helpful because every time it's someone different and I get to practice with different people and also sort of like, wow, really, are they emptying a bathtub out there? I also get to like assess how everyone else is doing in the class to make sure I'm like on track with everyone else. So then we have the matching workbook, which is like, you know, standard things, matching, these were finding the opposites for the verbs, writing, God, this feels like so long ago, conjugating, all that sort of practice. And there's also a lot of listening as well, which we can re-listen to at home because they've got the QR codes in here as well, but she plays it for us in class. And also at the beginning of every class, we have a dictation test for the chapter previous. So we have to put all of our books away and we just have our notebooks and she reads out 10 sentences. She usually starts with just a couple of vocabulary and then she starts building longer and longer sentences. So sometimes the 10th one is literally like a dialogue between two people that we have to listen to her dictate and then write down in Korean. So that is how a class usually goes. And my notes, let me find a good one. My notes usually end up looking something like this. So I copy down all the vocabulary and the English translation for it. By the way, no English in these classes, which is fair because not every immigrant, expat, foreigner speaks English. But I write down all the vocabulary, and sometimes I don't know. Like sometimes I think this is what it will be, but because she doesn't say it in English, I have to guess. And so I usually put like a little question mark and then I go look it up after. And I was right. But I write all of these down and then I usually go through all of the grammar points as well, and I'll write them out to the best of my understanding. But yeah, so basically after I'm done a class on a Wednesday or a Saturday, I've got a few days in between and I don't want to forget what I've learned. And I also spent a lot of money on other books. So I use the days that I don't have class to sort of like brush up on the grammar points that we learned. And I do use these two books to do that. And I've talked about these books before. I know I have. I link them all the time in my comments, so I'll link them in the description box as well. I love these books. Basically, these cover the first 2 levels of TOPIK. This is every single grammar point you're gonna need in TOPIK 1, and this is all the vocabulary that they use in TOPIK 1. So these books work really well together with this book and with the TOPIK test. So what I will do is whatever grammar point we learned that week in my KIIP class, I will find it in my Korean Grammar in Use Beginner book, or beginning, that's weird. And I'll write out basically the same grammar point in English. So I can kind of check if I really did understand what my Korean teacher meant. And basically, sometimes there's an English equivalent, sometimes there's like not so much, but I write basically the grammar point out in English as it is, and then I'll pick verbs from this book, if we've learned like a grammar point that includes conjugation, and then I'll go through and I'll conjugate like a bunch of verbs from the book using the grammar point or the verb tense that I've learned. I like to use this book, which is grouped into nouns, adjectives, and verbs to practice my conjugation. So this is what this book looks like. This is the TOPIK vocabulary book. The one thing that some people will love about this book and some people will not like about this book is it's vocabulary that's not grouped by like a theme. It's grouped alphabetically. So you can tell like in this section, like they all start with the same consonant. So 사다, 사랑하다, 사용하다, like you learn it that way. So it's kind of helpful because it's harder and you have to really learn it to not get them mixed up. But yeah, and so basically that's what I'll do on the days that I'm not in my KIIP class to make sure that that shit sticks. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing to improve my Korean. Recently, I think the biggest thing for sure for me was that I've been given more opportunities to speak. You can do Hello Talk, or you can, there's another app I think where you can like call people to chat in Korean, but I was always like way too embarrassed and honestly also didn't know enough to really get myself through a conversation. But now I am forced to talk to people in Korean in class, and that makes everything so much better because it makes everyday experiences less scary, I guess. Still terrifying though. Anyways, that's everything. I'm gonna go because I'm also pretty confident my phone is about to die. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of like just like a word vomit, but it's been a while since I've been since I've done like a sit down chit chat, explain something to you video. So I can understand if it was a little disorganized, for which I apologize. But if you have any questions, if there are glaring gaps in information, leave me a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions about KIIP or about my textbooks or, you know, whatever. Also, if you are a Korean speaker or a Korean learner, feel free to leave me a comment in Korean too, because it's good practice for me. So yeah, okay. I will see you in the next video. I say the next video because I don't know if it's going to be next week or 2 weeks from now, but there will be another video. So I'll see you in the next one. Have a fabulous day. Bye guys.